Now, you can't just understand a driver without giving you real examples. And I'm lucky enough to be one of them. Not really, I'm self-praising, but my ability is highly into that. So, when you often have these kind of scenarios, you would often feel anxious, and it's the anxiety that pushes you towards your failures. And when a failure happens, you blame it on anxiety, but never actually questioning the real issue behind it. And that isn't anxiety, that is confidence. Now, I want you to visualize this. Today, you're the best in your class, or maybe the best in your entire company, assuming that everyone just magically declined 100 IQ. But so you're the highest intelligent person in the building. Now, the issue is that IQ is not equal to EQ. So, even if you are, in fact, a highly intelligent person, you would be easily manipulated by a high EQ person, even if you are highly intelligent. And what happens in that scenario is that this person would steal, or rather just rob you without you even realizing it. And that's the issue. First of all, you have to be very confident. And to be confident, you have to assert dominance. You have to acknowledge that your mindset is inevitably superior to any other, such that you can manipulate them essentially. If even a tiny tip of your ego or your mindset cracks, and that's a lethal hole that they can crawl into. Like, for example, Walter White. Let's draw a fedora here. Yes. He was a smart man. He knew how to manipulate. But in fact, his demise was also based upon manipulation because he couldn't manipulate anymore. He had no one to manipulate. So, in fact, if you are the best in your field, or you assume that you are the best in your field, then don't be shy or don't be worried to show it off. Your talents should be shown off anyways, because a glowing star under a blanket is just nothing more but a blanket. That's a very sad irony, but it's the truth. And more so, I think that while confidence is inevitably the best solution to performance, what brings is a potential danger, which is ego. Like, let's extend the Walter White analogy. So, in that, in the scenario just now, let's continue our Walter White analogy. So you can see that at first I describe Walter White as a person who got his demise from a tiny scratch, but in fact, psychology will prove otherwise. And it's more about ego, the overconfidence that led to the dent being there in the first place, and the dent was then being magnified. So, why does that happen? So, first of all, we have to acknowledge what is confident and what is overconfidence. When you are confident in your work, you will feel a surge of pressure just vanishing. Like Ayrton Senna, when he drove the McLaren in 1988, he said he transcended basically until he hit a barrier and then just crashed. That's confidence plus skill. To back up the confidence, you must have skill. But unfortunately, when you have too much confidence and not enough skill, that's what ego is. Now, I'm not saying having an ego is bad. After all, if you look back to the past, you'll find out that Caesar inevitably had an insane ego. Caesar is the guy from Rome, the ancient Rome. He colonized basically the entire Europe, and his ego was the main motivation for him to conquer the entire Europe. it wasn't the power, it wasn't just what the people wanted. In fact, the people never wanted land. The people wanted peace. The people actually wanted freedom more than anything. In fact, if you look back into the ancient Rome times, you'd know that Caesar is in fact a very bad political driver. He's essentially only good at being revolutionary, but in fact he's very bad person overall. Now, I'm not really an optimistic person. I'm very cynical, to say the least. If you look back to my works, you can identify them on the spot because they possess a rare type of pessimistic with satire. And yes, that's how I want to end my video. I won't give you a motivational speech. I think that in order for you to find confidence or the ability to perform under pressure, it must be something you are passionate about. You must feel that you are good at it. And when you feel good at it, to a certain extent, you know that you're confident because nobody is there to match up with you. Even if you aren't a good person, like not in the mental way. I assume that everyone is kind. If you're talent wise not as good as the top people, I can assure you that everyone has different minds, and that's a very cool perk in literature. There's no defining schemes, and for me, it's a playground. Everyone can express themselves in their own ways. Some may like it, some may won't, and ultimately, it's how you perceive it. Like, if you think that your work is good, up to your standards, then that's enough. And if others don't like it, then what's up with that, right? And it's that sort of delusional, between delusional and confident, is what makes me personally perform extremely well under pressure, especially if you had tuned in for my last video. I actually talked about me going into teacher's office alone and then having a debate with the head of speaking. That's a very wild story. I think it's very funny, and I think you can go have a look if you haven't, and if you have, then my video ends here. Thanks for tuning in. I think I'll rest a bit and then I'll come back and just write a bit.